Do we ever have a decadent treat for you in today's daily dish? Think lobster, think crispy Chinese sausage, and think dinner tonight. Chef Trevor Lui is serving it all up right now. Okay, Chef, what have you got in store for us today?
Hey, Trace. Listen, I think if COVID taught us anything, it taught us a lot of things in the kitchen. One was we cooked more at home. Two was we ordered more takeout. And three is we got really nostalgic with our cooking. And I wanted to make this really nostalgic chowder dish because it reminded me of Sundays when I was a kid. Dad used to take me to Howard Johnson for chowder. And so I had a lot of leftover lobster from a takeout night where I ordered Chinese food, and they send you double lobster. Who can eat two lobsters in one sitting? So I decided I was going to make lobster chowder one night. So this is a really fun lobster chowder. It's got lots of flavor, lots of great ingredients, and it's really, really easy to make, particularly have a lot of these ingredients that are left over from takeout or sitting in your fridge. So let's get started really quick. We're going to show you how to make the stock. And the really important thing is we ordered lobster, so we've got lots of leftover lobster with all the goodness on it. We take the meat out, and I've got the lobster meat right here, and I've got the shells. And then I've added shrimp. I had some jumbo shrimp sitting in the fridge. Don't get queasy, okay? We rip the heads off, and we rip the shells off, and we're going to save those because we're going to make our own stock, which is really, really easy. All we do, Trace, is we take the shells, we throw them into a pan or pot, and then we take also the lobster shells, and we pop them into the same little pot. And then another thing, COVID taught us, let's use everything in our kitchen. So I never throw away green onion stalks. We throw the green onion stalks in there for that, the aromatics. And then we'll add some water. We're going to cover that up. And then we're going to let that simmer until it reduces into a nice stock, which, ta-da, I've got some right over here. You get a strainer, okay? And we're just going to strain the stock right through. And you see all the goodness of that stock is just going in here. And then now we've got our stock ready to go for our actual chowder that you've made yourself, which is amazing. And it's like, I should give this a little taste. You want to add a little bit of salt and pepper, but not much. But you see it's like this golden brown. Mm-hmm. And it's got that really nice seafood umami. So we're going to bring the big pot over, Trace, and we're going to get going on making our actual chowder, which is really, really easy to do, especially got your stock ready to go. We've got the chopped up lobster meat and the chopped up shrimp ready. We're going to start with making a good old roux. What that is some butter, equal parts butter, and some equal parts AP flour. You know what a roux is, right, Trace?
Well, yeah, I do, because I've seen enough of them on this show. So, but don't test me. But you're adding, this is sort of the beginning of many, many recipes, like the basics that you need to add that flavor.
Yeah, and so what a roux is essentially the flour and the butter is going to make this little bit of a golden brown consistency, really thick. It's the thickening agent for your soup. So you're going to get this roux going. The butter will start to melt with the flour. Take a little bit of a whisk or a wooden spoon, and you're just going to let that fold in together. And then Chinese sausage. I don't know if you've ever had this, Trace, but this is a staple in Chinese homes. It's salty, a little bit of sweetness. You can eat it just with rice, but I'm using it kind of like pancetta. We're going to throw this into the pan with the roux that we're making, and some of that fat is going to render out again, and we're going to crisp that up. So then we're going to have, yes, crispy Chinese sausage like a pancetta bacon with your roux that's thickening. Then all we're going to do, that sounds pretty good, right?
That sounds incredible. And I just want to ask
what we're doing
is that Chinese sausage like the sausage that you would get when you would get fried rice? It's the sausage that would be in there?
Some fried rices do. A lot of times it's roasted pork, but some places do make it with Chinese sausage. If you go for dim sum, you can get it in a stone pot on rice, which is so tasty. Mm-hmm. Because when you cook this with rice, all the juices and fat from the sausage render into the rice. Oh, amazing, right?
Oh, it's so good.
So now we've got this roux and we've got the sausage crisping up. We're going to put our onions in. Okay, really, really simple stuff. That's going to just basically, you're going to sweat those onions down a little bit, get that nice golden brown. And then once the onions are working, we're going to throw in our potatoes. And we're just, I like to use the skin on, and I'm using a white potato. I like the starchiness. That will also help thicken up the soup also. So we're going to throw that in. This is a really, really good time. Oh, I got some leftover sausage that I left, so I'm going to put that in too. This is a good time to add just a little bit of S&P. I don't think you need too much because the saltiness of the sausage is going to bring a lot of that salt out. You can just do it as you go in flavor, bit by bit. Now, you can see, oh my gosh, Trace, fat on fat, some vegetables. It is sounding really good and smelling really good in here.
Fat on fat is always a good for any recipe, really.
Yes, and since we're talking about outfits and body, I'm okay of how I look and how I feel after I eat this. So
good.
Now we're going to throw in our stock, Trace. Look at this beautiful lobster and shrimp stock we got going in here. Oh, you can hear the sizzle. Okay. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to let this come up to a boil really quick. I'm going to add a little touch of salt and pepper again. And then as this sort of comes up to a heat, guess what we're going to do, Trace?
What are we going to do?
We're going to go for the trilogy. We're going to add more fat. But this time we're going with some cream.
It is a chowder. It is a chowder.
It's a chowder, as they would say, right? So we're just going to fold that together. And guess what? That is it. You're going to put the cover on this, and you're going to bring the heat down, and you're just going to let that simmer a little bit until it brings up to a boil. Let's pretend that's boiling, because what we're going to do now is we're going to add that seafood in. There goes the shrimp meat. And then here, look at all this lobster meat that I had left over from the shells of the lobster from takeout that I couldn't eat. So we're going to reuse that and put that in. And it's got tons of flavor in it already. Now we are going to mix this up. The heat, the fat, the flavor, the umami all together. We're going to put this lid on. We're going to let that simmer. But because we don't have an hour in this segment, because if you gave it to me, I'd probably keep talking anyway, Trace.
You've got the final dish for us?
A nice, oh my God, I got a nice big pot of chowder sitting right here.
Beautiful.
Look at this, beautiful. I like to use a nice shallow dish so it spreads out and I can see it all. So look at this. We got those potatoes and the sausage and the lobster and the onions and the shrimp. Look at that.
It looks phenomenal, Chef, and just in time, because we're all out of time, but show us how you sort of what you do on the top of it to finish it off.
Some chopped up parsley and some crispy shallots, and I love to eat it with some crusty bread. Dip it in, away you go. Chowder for everyone.
Always with the bread. I love it. Another great recipe, Trev. Thank you.